If you're a Java developer, you are living in a world that the Spring framework built. Seriously, it's one of the most foundational tools in modern software development. But what is it, really? So let's dig in and get to the core of why this one framework completely changed the game for developers everywhere.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? How did an entire industry basically decide to rally around this one single tool? Well, to get it, you kind of have to look back at what things were like before Spring showed up, and let's just say it was often messy, tangled, and pretty frustrating.
You see, before Spring, applications felt a lot like a giant tangled ball of yarn. Every single piece was so rigidly connected to every other piece that changing one small thing could cause the whole system to unravel. And testing? It was an absolute nightmare. Spring's big promise was to take that tangled mess and turn it into something clean, modular, where every part could stand on its own and was just easy to work with.
So what was the actual problem? Well, it all comes down to this idea called tight coupling. Just imagine your code for processing an order also had to be personally responsible for creating its own payment processor. Now, those two pieces of code are locked together forever. It might sound small, but when you do this all over your application, the whole system becomes incredibly rigid and brittle. You can't upgrade one part without risking breaking the other.
So how did Spring solve this puzzle? It introduced a truly revolutionary idea that completely flipped the script on who or what is actually in control of your code.
And this is the big idea right here. Inversion of control, or IOC. Instead of you, the developer, having to manually create every single object and connect all the wires, you hand that entire job over to the Spring framework. You just declare what your different components need, and Spring figures out how to build them and plug them together. You basically go from being a micromanager to an architect.
Okay, so how does this inversion of control magic actually work? Well, it's all done through a design pattern called dependency injection. It's brilliant. Instead of your order service creating its own payment processor, it just kind of raises its hand and says, hey, I need a payment processor over here. And the framework just injects one. That simple act is what finally breaks that rigid, tight coupling we were talking about.
I love this analogy. Think of it like a car factory. You wouldn't expect the steering wheel to be responsible for finding and building its own engine, right? That would be total chaos. In this scenario, your code components are all the individual parts, the wheels, the engine, the seats, and Spring is the master assembly line. It knows exactly how all the pieces fit together to build a perfect, fully functional car.
So if Spring is the factory, what does that assembly line actually look like? Well, all the work happens inside a core component that we call the Spring IOC container.
Now, inside this container, your normal, everyday Java objects get a special name. They're called Spring Beans. And honestly, it sounds way more complicated than it is. A bean is just any object that you've told Spring, hey, I want you to manage this for me, from the moment it's created to the moment it's destroyed. That's it.
And the process itself is surprisingly simple. First, you write your code, your classes, just like you always would. Second, you tell Spring about these classes and what they need to function. From that point on, you can just lean back. The container takes over, creates all the objects, injects all the dependencies, and hands you a fully assembled, ready-to-run application.
But here's the thing. Just managing objects, that's only the beginning. The real power of Spring today is in its massive ecosystem. It's a whole suite of tools all built on that one core idea that can solve almost any problem you could possibly imagine.
And this is just a quick look. You need to build a website or a REST API? There's Spring MVC for that. Need to talk to a database without writing a mountain of boilerplate code? That's what Spring Data is for. Need to secure the whole thing? Spring Security has your back. And the real game changer tying it all together is Spring Boot, which makes setting up any of this stuff incredibly fast and simple.
So let's just zoom in on the big three you'll run into most often. Spring Core, that's the engine room. It provides that fundamental IOC container we talked about. Spring MVC is like the chassis and the body of the car. It gives you the framework to actually build web applications. And Spring Boot, well, think of Spring Boot as the smart, automated factory manager that configures everything for you so you can get on the road faster than ever.
Okay, so after all these years, why is Spring still the undisputed king of the Java world? And more importantly, what does all of this actually mean for you as a developer day to day?
This right here is the payoff. Because of dependency injection, testing individual components becomes a breeze. Your code gets so much cleaner because Spring handles all that messy glue for you. That loose coupling we keep mentioning, it means your application is flexible and way easier to maintain for years to come.
And with Spring Boot, you're not wasting hours on tedious setup. You're building features in minutes.
Look, at the end of the day, the industry has spoken. As the source material for this explainer says, Spring isn't just popular, it's become the standard. It's the shared language that millions of developers use to build serious, enterprise-grade software. Knowing it is simply fundamental to being a Java developer today.
And that brings us to a really fascinating, modern question. With Spring Boot handling so much of the magic behind the scenes now, do you still really need to understand these core principles? You know, the inversion of control, the dependency injection. Is it enough to just know how to drive the car, or should you still know what's going on under the hood? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.